Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. Today the discussion is about competition and how that actually inhibits your growth. We as human beings, we have a tendency to be competitive by nature. And so you have to pay attention to how you are acting, how you're presenting yourself, and how you're showing up in your own life. Because there are many ways in which being competitive or overly competitive can actually serve to limit your growth. It was Robert Zend who says that everybody has one thing in common, and that is we're all different. When you spend so much time comparing yourself to other people and trying to see how you can outdo someone, that can actually stop you from being your best self. It doesn't affect the other person, especially if the other person is unaware of the fact that you're competing with them, but it ultimately affects you and it prevents you from growing. And there are many, many ways in which being overly competitive can affect a person in a negative way. And surprisingly, for some maybe, it is possible for there to be good, healthy competition. But unfortunately, a lot of persons who are really competitive, they're not doing it from a healthy place. And that is why I entreat you to guard yourself against this overly competitive nature that is usually characteristic of people. So I'm going to touch on it from both perspectives. I'm going to look at the aspect of competition as a healthy phenomenon as against competition when it is unhealthy. I will not keep you too long. I know many of you are at work, but as you know, it is a Mindset Monday, and I have to share what it is that I have in mind and what is happening in my life, what is helping me to be a better person. And I'm also going to touch on a point that was raised by a good friend of mine, Janelle, when I posted the topic for today, and she was saying that she is competitive, but with herself. I'm going to elaborate on that some more and show you how that has helped me as well. But first of all, let us look at some of the positive aspects of being competitive. Competition is encouraged when it is that one is looking for inspiration. You know, we have many different factors, many different things, many different areas in life that we're interested in, and sometimes you really do not know where to start, or you do not know where your strengths lie, or how to apply your strengths to get maximum results. And so sometimes it is really good to look at someone who is already doing what it is that you want to do for inspiration. You may be someone like me who started out shooting videos as a novice. I really didn't know anything about shooting videos. All I knew was that I had a phone and it had a camera and it also had the ability to shoot videos, and I wanted to do it. And for a very, very long time I waited because I kept saying that I have no prowess in this area. And I was looking at other people's videos that were really good, and I was commenting on them, and I was saying to myself, I would like my video quality to be as good as that. But one of the things is that you don't want to prevent yourself from starting something just because you're not as good as the other person. And that is why even when you're looking at someone for inspiration, you still have to be careful, because you don't want it to reach to a point where you become obsessed with somebody else's standard of what is great or what is perfect. So what I did was that I got started and I looked at some people who were doing videos as well, who did motivational speaking and motivational videos, and I looked at what they were doing and how they sat or how they stood, and that helped me to make my videos better. I don't know if you remember, but the very first video that I did, and of course I do all my videos by myself, the very first one I did, the top of my head was cut off and I didn't even realize until after the video was done and I was ready to post it, and I said, where's the rest of my head? But I was not about to do it over, so I still posted it. But the point is that I started, I saw where my pitfalls were, and then I was able to go back and correct that as time went by. Of course, I'm still working on things like lighting, etc. But the point is that you get started, you look at other people who are doing what you want to do, and you can get inspiration and insights from these people. Another positive aspect of being competitive is that it helps to become more aware of your strengths, more aware of what you're good at. And basically it shows you how you can improve. Because when you are aware of your skills and your talents and your abilities, then it allows you to now look at other people, again, who are doing the same thing that you're doing and how they're using these skills to maximize their potential. So that level of self-awareness helps you to be able to improve in your life. And again, that's one way in which competition can help you. Because when you look at other people who are prolific and other people who are productive and doing extremely well, they're successful in the area that you want to go into, you can learn a thing or two from them. And you can assess yourself in a more objective way to see where it is that you can improve, where it is that you can gain some additional skills and talents that will boost your confidence and ultimately give you the results that you're looking for. So that is another way in which competition can actually be healthy, and that is it helps you to become more aware of your shortcomings, more aware of your strengths, and how to best apply them by comparing yourself with someone who is doing exceptionally well in the area that you are interested in or the area that you're currently involved in or working in. The third point I want to make is the one I alluded to earlier, where Janelle was saying that competition is healthy when you compete with yourself. And that may sound conceited, but I want you to walk with me here, ladies and gentlemen. I am not attempting to be conceited. But what I'm saying is that when you know where you are now, you're constantly striving to be better. And like I've often said, human beings are inherently teleological. So you always want to grow, you always want to improve, you always want to get better, right? So what I'm saying is that you're constantly looking for ways to evolve and to improve yourself. I'm always trying to become a better version of myself. So I could even allude to the same video example I used earlier, where the first video was yellow and it was my head, the top of my head was cut off, and I was a bit nervous and I was very tense. That was a start. After I sat down and I watched my video, I realized where my shortcomings were, and my aim from there were to write down the things I needed to improve and to work on them. And it's constantly evolving. So when I do another video, it should get better. And even though there are times when it fluctuates, I may do a good video today and tomorrow it's not so good, but I'm constantly assessing them to see how I can improve and how I can give you the value and the quality that will be appeasing to you when you watch the videos and you're getting the content and you're getting the benefit of what it is that I'm sharing. So it is good to compare yourself to a previous version of yourself. And sometimes in doing that, like Janelle said earlier, yesterday might even be better than today. But you're not going to mope about that and have regrets and dwell on that time, because the psychology of time can actually cause you to think in that sense. But what you're going to do instead is say, you know what, yesterday was good, but going forward, this is how I can get the quality I had yesterday or even better. So it is good to compare yourself with a previous version of yourself, not because you're conceited and you're edging God out, as Les Brown says, you're becoming egotistical. It's not because of that, but because you're always looking for ways to improve. And in fact, you're supposed to do that. You can be better. You can better your best. You can improve, and you should want to improve. So there is nothing wrong with comparing yourself to an earlier version of yourself. For example, I don't want to be my 15-year-old self, a teenager making mistakes, not having the wisdom that I have today. So of course, when I compare myself to the person I was at 15, I'm glad to see the growth. Certain significant life experiences that I might have had when I was younger that affected me in a negative way, I have learned over time how to deal with them and how to channel them into my own growth. So that's another way of comparing myself to my previous self and knowing that I don't want to be at this place. I'm constantly growing, and also using those as different anecdotes to help other people to improve in their lives as well. So it's good for you to do that. It's a constant it's a constant process of self-awareness and self-assessment that will ultimately put you in the place where you will be happy and you will be exuding joy from within, because you're comfortable with where you are and you're constantly growing. So that's a third way in which competition can be healthy. And just to recap really quickly, one, competition can be healthy because it helps you to become more aware of your skills and your shortcomings, and then help you to have something to aspire or ascribe to. And the second reason why competition is healthy is that it shows you how much growth you have attained over a period of time by comparing yourself to a previous version of who you are. So you know where you were and how much you have grown to now. And the final reason why it is good to compare yourself to other people is that, and that is in a healthy way, of course, it's good to compare yourself to other people because it allows you to have something to strive for. It allows you to grow when you compare yourself to other people. It allows you to have something to aspire to. Now we're going to look at the negative aspects of competition, which is in a way the focus of the discourse today. One of the reasons why it is so debilitating to compare yourselves with other people is that it argues limiting beliefs about yourself. When you're overly competitive and you're thinking that this person has life so good, this person has such a great life, their house is amazing, they have the perfect little family, what you're essentially doing, it is a bit selfish because one, you're putting the person on a pedestal, and now you have these expectations that the person must always somehow be perfect, and you'll probably even feel disappointment if that person should fall off the wagon, so to speak. So it is a bit selfish for you to do that. And the second thing is that the person is not even aware that you're looking at them in this way. And the third reason why it is so bad, it is such a negative and debilitating thing for you to compare yourself to other people, and why it limits you, is that when you compare yourself to them, you are only highlighting the things that are positive about them. But everybody has some fault, everybody has some weak areas that they can improve upon, but you spend so much time focusing on the things that are great about this group or the things that are great about this person, and you become so caught up in that you start assessing yourself and you start just looking at all your limitations. You focus on all your limitations. For example, if you isolate just one area of your life, and maybe you have struggled with your weight over a period of time, and believe it or not, that's something I have struggled with for a long time. I love food, I love to eat, and a lot of times I wish I could just eat anything, but I know I cannot do that because one, if I smell the food, I gain weight. Believe me. The other thing is that it's just not healthy for you to eat ever and anything because of what it does to your body. And so when you're looking to improve yourself and to succeed in life, you have to improve all facets of your life. So I am conscious of what I eat. So that's one thing I've struggled with. So let's say, for example, you struggle with maintaining a certain body weight. What you will find is that when you start comparing yourself to the people you see in GQ magazine or in Vogue, that is really a very high standard that society has imposed upon us, and it's kind of forcing you to accept as the norm. But whose norm is it? As long as you're comfortable in your own skin and you're constantly trying to live the best healthy life that you can live, there shouldn't be a problem. But when you start comparing yourself to people who are in that perfect body, so to speak, then you start thinking negatively about yourself. You start putting yourself down, and you're not able to accept yourself for who you are. And like I said at the beginning, we're all different. That's the one thing we have in common. Not everybody is going to be a size 2 or a size 4. And size 2 and size 4 people, yes, you're beautiful, but you're not the only ones who are beautiful. As long as you are healthy, then work with your body mass. And I've never seen a fat skeleton. So there is no such thing as being stuck at a certain weight. If you want to lose weight, you can. It's just going to take hard work, dedication, perseverance, and above all, patience. But if you want to lose weight, you can do it. You just have to focus on your journey and what it will take to get you to that ideal body weight. And that's just one example of something that can be limiting when you compare yourself to, especially unnaturally high standards that other people have. And these people who are really slim and looking beautiful in those clothing in the magazine, they have other things that they're dealing with that is making their lives difficult. They have other shortcomings that they themselves are comparing themselves to other people as well, and they feel as though they're lacking in these areas. These might be areas that you're very proficient in. Like if you have a sense of humor, believe it or not, not everyone has a sense of humor. There are a lot of people who they're so stiff, they're so stoic in everything that they do, and you might just naturally be able to light up a room, and that's your gift. The person you're looking at and putting on a pedestal might feel like, if I had that, that would make my picture complete. So focus on your growth, focus on your journey, and constantly find ways to evolve and become that better person that you're capable of becoming. The second reason why it is unhealthy to compare yourself to other people is that there is always going to be someone else who is better than you at what it is that you're doing. But that's fine. There is room for all of us, and it's not a competition. The other person may be better than you, but that doesn't mean that you are not successful. If you're looking at life strictly as a race, even then you can have more than one winners. So you should not focus on the other person's journey and think that you have to be exactly like that other person to be considered as successful. Because you're always going to have someone who's better than you. And when you compete with John Brown over there and you feel like you've surpassed him now, or you're at least on a lateral level with him, now you're suddenly not comfortable and not happy with where you are. So you look for another person to compete with. And as you ascribe to that person's level, you become so used to it that you're comfortable with it and you're no longer happy, so you try to ascribe to another level. So you're constantly fighting this battle of trying to become number one, trying to be the best, and you don't get to live. You don't get to be happy with who you are. When you may very well have so much going for you that other people are looking at you and saying, wow, Nicole, you're doing so well. Shauna, you're doing so well. John, you're doing so well. Kevin, you're amazing. I look up to you. But you're there beating up yourself because you have discovered that someone else is better than you. I believe that's a travesty. Because if you focus on what it is that you would like, what it is that when you have it, it will make you feel like you're successful, then you wouldn't have time to focus so much on what the person parallel to you is doing in their life. And like I said, competition is good if you're comparing yourself to someone who is above you. So because it's a level that you can ascribe to and aspire to, and it gives you that extra push out of your comfort zone, and that's a good thing. But one of the things you have to look at, and this is my third reason why comparing yourself to other people and competing with other people can be unhealthy, is that when you compete with other people and you find that they are doing better than you, it can cause you to stop. It can even cause you to become stuck because you now feel as though you have given it your best, but you're never going to be as good as that person. And that's fine because not everyone is going to be on that level. And whereas you're focusing on one aspect of your life that the other person is maybe more proficient than you in, there is something that you're probably way better than the other person in as well. And you have to find a way to marry your skills and your abilities to maximize on them and to let them work for you. I am not the only person in my group or even in the group that I have established, Manifest Your Greatness, Believe and Grow. I am not the only person in that group who is a motivational speaker and who empower people. And some of the persons are amazing. There is Crystal, and I mean, there are so many other persons in the group. They're doing extremely well. And they are very proficient at what they do, but I'm not comparing myself with them. In fact, I am happy to empower them and uplift them because I'm glad to see that they're doing what they're doing. And like I said to you in many videos prior to this, there is room for all of us. The pie, the cake, whatever you want to call it, is big enough for us to share and be satisfied and be fulfilled. So stop being so competitive. Stop trying to write someone else's story. Write your own script. Focus on the life that you have been given and the gifts that you have been given, and find ways to develop those gifts so you can empower other people. I invite you to think of the story of the 10 talents, how the 3 men were given, one was given 5, one was given 2, and one was given 1. And the person who was given 5 was so happy, and he said, wow, I'm going to go out there and I will multiply this. So when he came back and he presented to the master, he had 10. And the master said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Not only did you take the gifts that you had, but you went and you multiplied them. And that's the same thing you should be doing. You should be focusing on doing in your life, multiplying your gifts. And there are many ways to multiply your gifts. You develop it and then you use it to impact other people's lives. You develop it to a point where you're happy that you're performing at your maximum potential, and then you use that to help someone else to grow in an area of their life. The gentleman who got 2, he did the same thing. He went out there and he developed his gifts and he multiplied them, and he came back and he presented 4. And the master said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. But the servant who received 1 talent, he buried it. And his argument was that if I bury it and keep it safe, when the master is ready for it, it will be there and I can hand it to him on the platter. I guess he thought he was going to get a pat on the back. No, no such pat. Because what he did was to take the gift that he was so generously and graciously given and he buried it. So no one was able to benefit from it. What a travesty. Why did he even come this way? Why are you here? Why are you here now? When so many of our friends have passed on, but we're still here. Why are you burying your gift? Take some time to get to know you. Stop comparing yourself to trivial things. You're looking on social media and you're comparing yourself to clothing, which will be left here when you're long gone. You're comparing yourself to other people's cars or houses. Those are material things that we all want that will help us to become comfortable and stable in our lives. And that's good. And it's good to want those things. But you're so much focused on what they have. You don't know how they've gotten it. And you're not doing anything. You're not evoking any action in your life to give you those things, but you're constantly looking from the left to the right, focusing on what the other person has, so that you don't even realize that you have skills that could catapult you far beyond any level that you could ever conceive. Stop focusing on being so competitive, especially if it is negative competition. When you compete with another person, you know how you know if it is negative? When you feel bitterness inside. When you look and see someone doing something that you know very well you are capable of doing, and you're saying, darn, why did they go ahead of me? Why are they so far advanced and I'm stuck here? And then you feel bitter inside and you feel envious. The Bible speaks about the 7 deadly sins, and amongst them is envy and jealousy. That's what you feel when you engage in negative competition. And you don't want those feelings. You want to absolve yourself of those feelings, and that's only going to come with action and commitment and focus on improving yourself and being happy for other people, for cheering other people when they do well. I can only speak so unequivocally about this because I am coming from that place. I used to do it. Nobody is perfect, but like I said, I'm always looking for ways to grow. And one of the things I used to do was to look at my friends. When I finished law school and other persons were working in the Supreme Court and they were clerk of courts, etc., and they were doing things that I wanted to do, and I was wondering why I was stuck. Today, I am happy that I was stuck because I needed that period of stagnation, so to speak. I needed that period of being perpetually stuck to grow, to get to know me, to slow down and realize what my gifts were and how God wanted me to use those gifts. I needed that, and I'm grateful for it now. But what if I had forced myself to just be competitive and bitter? I would not be here today, and I've learned from it, and that is why I'm sharing with you, because you are capable of doing the same and way more, and I want you to do that. I want you to develop your gifts and impact lives the way that you were meant to. You can do that. The third and final reason that I want to share with you today, why it is unhealthy to compare yourself with other people, is that it gives you false expectations of yourself. Yes, it does. Because while I am all for the argument that you can do all things, I believe that. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. But the fact is that you are not going to be number one in every single area. It's not that it is impossible, but God knows your abilities, and He knows that as a human being, you need your strength. You need to be able to focus and excel in certain things. So He's not going to make you good at every single thing. Because at the end of the day, we get so puffed up when we're good at a lot of things that we think it's us. We think that it's because of something that we have done. It's because of us why we're capable. When it is because of God, you couldn't do anything without Him. So He wants you to be humble. So He will identify areas in your life that you should excel in. And He also knows the people that you're supposed to impact. And then that's why you have one person being proficient at technology. They're very adept at using technology for different things, even in promoting and propelling their business forward. While you may have someone else who is just au fait with the technology, but they're not as proficient as the other person. But that person may be excellent at speaking. I remember when I was about 15 years old, I was graduating from an institution, and it was my mom and I graduated together, one of the proudest moments of my life, because my mom was there, sitting in the same row with me, graduating and going on to college. And they had asked me to speak at that graduation. And I remember when I was done speaking, the late Professor Barry Shevens, he came up to me and he said, "Young lady, what do you want to do?" And at the time, I was striding myself into believing that I could become a doctor. That was before I discovered that I cannot even stay in a hospital for 5 minutes without passing out. And that's the truth. Every single time I go into a hospital, because of the smells and everything, I just pass out. I couldn't be a doctor because I don't think I'll be able to deal with all of the horrific things that people face. And thank God I'm here. I've never had to spend that extended period. Thank God for that, and I hope it continues this way. But I told him I wanted to be a doctor, and he said, "You sure?" He asked me that question. He said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Well, I think so." I had studied straight sciences in high school, so I figured that was a natural course of action to take. And he turned to me and he said, "Young lady, you need to go into a profession where you have to speak. You will do very well." Before that, I had never considered a profession of speaking. And his wife joined him just as he said that, and she said, "Yes, that's so true. You speak so well." At the moment I took it, I was very grateful and I felt proud of myself, and I said, "Thank you." And that was the first time I ever considered doing something other than medicine, and that was the first time I thought about doing law. Even then, I didn't go on to college to study law. Immediately, I went to do international relations and politics, and later on I did law. But as throughout my 8 years of studies, one of the things I really engaged in a lot was debating and public speaking, and anything at all that required me to speak, I would engage in it. And that was when I was happiest. I would always say to my friends, Ralston and David, that I belong on the stage, because I feel like when I'm on the stage and I'm speaking to people, that's when I connect, that's when I'm happy, that's when I get the adrenaline rush, and it just makes me feel so happy. And then after I realized I was good at speaking, I thought to myself, what's next? What can I do to improve myself and use this gift that I have to possibly make an impact? And that was when it came to me to do motivational speaking, because I had so many negative experiences that were burdening me down and weighing me down. And I had to fight constantly to overcome them and be a positive person, because I like being positive. And that was when I was able to marry my speaking ability with sharing and feeding into people, because I realized that that was why I was here. I always knew since I was younger that I needed to help people, but I was looking at it from more a tangible perspective where I give people things. But now I realize that the best way to help a person is to feed their mind, is to help a person develop mental strength and mental toughness. That's the best way to help you to rewrite that negative story that you have been telling yourself because of that significant life experience or that negative experience in general that you had earlier. My goal and my purpose is to help you to rewrite that negative story and to give your subconscious mind a fresh start, in that you are capable of doing that, anything that you wish. You're capable of achieving that desire, because a desire comes from within. And I don't believe that anyone gets a desire if they were not meant to fulfill it. So I want you to stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop focusing on being so competitive to the point where it is inhibiting your growth, and it is causing you to become bitter, and it is preventing you from being happy for other people. You have to take some time to celebrate the wins of other people, to learn from other people's strengths, to find ways to develop yourself and make yourself stronger, and get out of the mindset of the negative, unhealthy competition. I thank you all for joining me today. Again, it was once again, it was very fulfilling for me to share with you, and I do this every Monday. Mindset, just food for thought, something thought-provoking, something that you probably don't pay attention to every single day, but I entreat you to think about it, because it plays a role in your life, and it can prevent you from advancing to the level where you want to go and at the pace that you want to go and grow. So thank you guys for joining me. Next week I will come at you again with another thought-provoking topic. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to include that in the discourse as well. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Shauna-Kaye Brown, that's my name. And you can follow me on Instagram at SKB Renaissance Woman. My website has been posted in the bio as well, so feel free to visit at your own leisure to share in the positive insights.